Hopefully most of you will know who I am, but if you don't, my name is Robert Jappie. I'm a partner at Ince and I specialise in cannabis law and regulation. I set up the UK's first dedicated cannabis law department about 3 years ago. And so all I do now is advise CBD and medicinal cannabis companies on what they can and can't do. I was also born on 420, so it's a real personal passion of mine. And I'm very happy to be speaking to you all. As everyone already knows, the UK is a great market to sell CBD. You know, nearly £300 million spent on CBD last year, 2019. That's expected to triple to £1 billion by 2025. So it's one of the most lucrative markets to sell CBD in Europe. And we've got novel food regulations coming into force end of March 2021 to bring stability to the market and to increase consumer confidence in the products that they are receiving and buying. So lots going on and lots to talk about. What we're going to cover today is, first of all, just a quick overview of what's been happening with the negotiations and what the new trade deal means. We'll look at the really important part today, which is import-export disruption. That means all the customs and VAT implications, which are numerous. There'll be some data protection implications, which I'll cover briefly, and novel food compliance will be covered as part of the UK's ability to diverge from EU regulations. And then finally, we'll cover some of the more interesting divergence opportunities that the UK is going to have to take if we're going to make the UK an even more favourable jurisdiction for CBD business. So the good news, and the UK has been very keen to trumpet this: zero tariffs, zero quotas. So the very first free trade agreement that the EU have agreed with zero tariffs and zero quotas for a third country. And I'll go into a bit more detail as to what that means. But there we go. Look at that. A customs border within UK sovereign territory. Now, the previous Prime Minister of the UK, Theresa May, said no serious government would ever agree to a customs border within its own territory. But there you go. The UK government has agreed to exactly that. Although Boris will still say there is no customs border, in reality, it is there. And that means not only will trade be affected from the UK to the EU, but it will also be affected from Great Britain to Northern Ireland, which makes things incredibly complicated. So just a very brief definitions here. Tariffs are taxes placed on imports coming from one area to another. So a quota is a limit on the number of that particular good that can come into a country. So, for example, you might say you can only bring in 1,000 tons of steel per year or something like that. Anything over and above will attract tariffs. And then you have non-tariff barriers. We're going to speak a lot about non-tariff barriers today because these are rules that dictate how products can be manufactured, handled, or advertised. In terms of the actual customs frontiers that I'm going to be sort of focusing on today, the first is the Dover-Calais Channel crossing. So that's between France and the UK, and there is Dover Port. And we will see lots and lots of queues of lorries there. We have recently, because the French closed the border when we became COVID Island with our brand new, really transmissible variant of the virus. And you know, it was pretty bad for a few days. We had drivers stuck at Dover for days on end. Things have eased now. The French have opened the border again, but this shows the sensitivity of that particular customs frontier. So here we go. So goods moving from the EU to the UK and from the UK to the EU will now require a customs declaration. You will need to declare your goods before they leave the EU. So you've got to make sure you get that declaration in before you put it onto the ferry or the train. And you shouldn't do it any earlier than 21 days. So you should be done within 3 weeks of your shipment due to arrive. No longer than that. The other important don't forget your EORI number. I'll be covering that in more detail. This is really, really important, so I'll come back to that. The other really important crossing is now Great Britain and Northern Ireland. So as I said, there's a customs border here within the UK. Northern Ireland effectively will stay subject to EU regulations and rules for goods. Crazy for a country to be giving up, its sovereign territory like that, but there we are. we are in a world where up is down and day is night and black is white. So we will try and make the best of it. So goods moving from the UK to Northern Ireland, they do not need to be declared when they leave Great Britain. However, the recipient in Northern Ireland will have to make declarations. They have to make an entry summary declaration before the goods arrive. They then have to make a second declaration when the goods arrive. And if the goods then move from Northern Ireland into the Republic of Ireland, further rules will be applied, particularly in relation to further customs declarations and VAT in particular. Here we go. This is the really heavy bit, so I'm sorry, guys. I'll try and whip through it. It's not going to make an awful lot of sense. Making a customs declaration, you need to engage with the Simplified Customs Declaration Process, or the SCDP, okay? Now, there's two ways to do this. The first is you can just make a note of it in your own commercial record. So you literally write it down in your commercial records, and then you make your full customs declarations in 6 months. Effectively, they give you the option to make a bulk declaration. So if you are doing multiple shipments, you don't need to make declarations for every single shipment. You can actually make a bulk declaration for all your shipments every 6 months. So that's a good thing. You know, that obviously will ease the administrative burden that is going to be attached to this procedure. Or if you do want to make declarations at the time of the shipment being sent, then you can do what's called a simplified declaration procedure. So that's a short form declaration. Bear in mind, you're only kicking the can down the road. Full declarations will need to be made for every shipment, along with paying any customs duty at the time. So you've got to have an EORI number that begins with GB for Great Britain. There are lots of EORI numbers out there beginning with EU. It's not going to be enough. If you want to move product into the UK, you're going to need a GB EORI number as well. So make sure that you do get one. It can be got within an hour. You do it online. It's pretty straightforward, but you will need a UK company to be able to do it. You need to create a duty deferment account. So if you're going to use the simplified customs declaration process, you have to register with HMRC for this account. You create the DDA, you then register for the declaration scheme. You need software which is compatible with the government's own software, and then you also need to consider the postponed VAT regime. Again, very, very complicated. The likelihood is most companies are not going to be able to do this by themselves. They're going to need assistance from a customs agent. And unfortunately, that's just the nature of it. So VAT. So previously there was no issues because the UK was part of the EU VAT regime. Now UK businesses have to treat products coming in from the EU like it was coming from anywhere else in the world. And VAT is payable upon importation. So VAT is actually charged as the goods enter the UK. Right, rules of origin. Rules of origin is what's called a non-tariff barrier, and it is to be able to receive the preferential treatment which this agreement gives, i.e. no tariffs, you have to satisfy rules of origin. This is really important for CBD products. So to gain preferential treatment, i.e. to be subject to no tariffs, there are three routes. First, the product is wholly obtained within the UK. So for example, hemp flower that is grown here in Europe, here in the EU and harvested, that is wholly obtained within the EU. Therefore, rules of origin are satisfied and preferential treatment applies. Two, they are produced exclusively from materials in either the UK or the EU. So, for example, if you were to get your CBD isolate from mainland Europe, Switzerland or Italy or wherever, you could import that into the UK. That would be a wholly obtained product. You could then mix that isolate with a carrier oil, MCT or whatever. If that was produced or manufactured here in the UK, then your materials are exclusively from the UK and the EU. And therefore, again, you will receive preferential treatment, i.e. no tariffs. And third, if you're incorporating non-originating material, so this is material outside of the UK and the EU, you can still satisfy the requirements set out in the deal, provided you're above the percentage that is necessary. So, for example, if 80% of the product was produced and manufactured within the EU and the UK, that would satisfy the rules of origin. If you're at 60%, You might not. So it's really important to have a look at where your ingredients are being sourced from. And it's going to be important for CBD brands in particular to know as much about their supply chain and as much about where that product is coming from. So here's a couple of examples. Make sure you can move your product tariff-free. You need to get what's called a statement of origin. You need to produce a statement of origin, and you can send that with every shipment, and it will clearly show where your ingredients are from, and it will demonstrate that you are selling a preferential product and you can benefit from no tariffs. Okay. In the deal, there's some fantastic text which actually sets out how the statement on origin should look. If anyone can't find it within the deal, then you can just message me and I'll send you the text. This is going to be a really important document moving CBD products around. And as I said, you can include this with your sales invoice, you can send it separately, and it can cover multiple shipments over at least a 12-year period. That can actually be extended to 24 months. So this statement on origin is a really, really important step for CBD companies to take now. Right, and this is just coming to what Alexi said. There are steps that I will be advising you to take in order to make things much easier, okay? And then I'll go through a couple of examples. So these are the steps that I'm advising CBD companies to take to make sure that they can keep getting their product out to the UK and out to the EU. So this is a drum I've been banging for some time. Dual incorporation, you've got to hedge your bets. It's going to be a nightmare if you've just got one company in the UK or you've got one company in the EU. The ideal scenario is you have a company in each jurisdiction. So you have a UK company and then you have an EU company, whether that be in Ireland or France or Germany or Holland or wherever you choose, it doesn't matter. But what that means is it will make life so much easier when you're trying to do your business in both jurisdictions. You can move your product between your UK company and your EU company much easier and then distribute from there. It's a really, really good idea. If you haven't done it already, get it done. It's not that expensive to set up a company, and we can do that for you very quickly, in fact. I mentioned this before, you need a dual fulfillment strategy. So if you are shipping lots of products to consumers, get a warehousing strategy in place and speak to Alexi and the guys at Alphagreen about that, because I know they're offering that service and it's really, really useful. Have a warehouse in the UK, ship all of your products to that warehouse. They can deal with your fulfillment orders from your e-commerce platform. Same in the EU. You don't want to be sending products from the UK to individuals in France, in Italy, in Germany, and because you're going to have to fill out customs declarations for every single product that you send out. Get an EU warehousing strategy in place. Send all of your product to that warehouse, and then distribute your products directly to the consumers from there. Trust me, it will make life so much easier. And again, speak to Alexi and the guys at Alphagreen. The EORI number is really, really important. Any good customs agent will be jumping up and down if you don't have your EORI number. Like I said, it can be applied for online. All you need is what's called a UTR, unique tax reference for your UK company. I can do it for you. It would take me an hour or so. Check your EORI number. If it begins with EU, it's not going to do the trick. You need a GB EORI number. And we've actually seen this happen. Trucks are going to the port border. Everything's fine as they pass through Dover. Then they get out on the French side, and then the French customs officials are like, no, this is no good, and the lorry gets sent back. So it's really, really important that you cover all bases with this. Apply for UK VAT registration. As I said, the VAT regime has changed, and that means VAT is due when the import ships, and that's going to be between the UK and the EU. So you need to have your VAT registration so that you can pay your VAT very quickly and the shipment can get released. There are quite a few grace periods in place. For example, the 6-month delay on the customs declarations. Just keep an eye on these things, because it's not a fixed situation. There's going to be lots of changes. There's going to be lots of new regulations brought in. Some of the grace periods will be extended, but it's really important that you keep on top of this, because it's an ever-moving situation. Statement on origin, we spoke about this. This is really, really important. If you take one thing away from today's webinar, get yourself a really good statement on origin. I can help you with that if you want to get in touch with me. Don't just read the UK guidance. I'll touch on this a bit more. There's a really good document from the UK, but it represents what the UK hopes will happen. It's not based in reality that well, so it's really important that you look at the other guidance documents available from other countries. And finally, the UK authorities have said companies are not going to be able to deal with this themselves. You need an agent, a customs agent, to help you with this. Unfortunately, there's a shortage of customs agent in the UK at the moment. I know some good ones. If you want to get in touch, and I'm happy to recommend you to them. But it's tough out there at the moment because everyone's trying to get to grips with this. And this is the document I was talking about. This is the UK government document for importing and exporting goods. I think it's about 150 odd pages, so nice bit of bedtime reading. Again, it was only dropped on us the 31st of December. And like I said, this is the UK government putting their best case scenario. Okay, this is how they hope things will work out. What you really need to be doing is looking at the documents which are being provided by other countries. So France have produced a really good suite of documents which are really helpful. And also Ireland, read the Irish documents as well. If you can't be bothered to read them, then obviously just get in touch with me because I've read them and I'll tell you what's what. Okay, moving on from the customs information, and again, I'll try and field as many questions as I can afterwards. But there are some other important implications to this deal that everybody needs to know about. So consumer data is an extremely valuable commodity. Any company selling CBD products will be very interested in the data that they are receiving from their consumers. The good news here is we have status quo. So the deal locks in the current UK data protection regime for 4 months with a potential extension of another 2 months. So for the next 6 months, we should be fine. There's no changes to how personal data flows are allowed to proceed. This 6 months grace period has been implemented so that we can achieve an adequacy ruling from the European Commission. So the European Commission has the power to determine whether the UK offers an adequate level of data protection. That means more negotiations. So we're going to see deep negotiations from the UK and the EU about whether the UK's new data regime is going to be up to EU standards. And I can promise you there's going to be a real battle on that as well. We've already got a couple of pieces of legislation here in the UK which the EU don't like. So expect another cliff edge debacle in 6 months' time when we come to deal with that. Okay, that was all the bad news, right? And there was quite a lot of it, but I'm going to get to the good news, okay, for the UK. So here is how the UK can use Brexit as a force for good. So the first thing is, you may be aware, UK, we managed to approve the COVID vaccines before anyone else. So the Pfizer vaccine we approved first, the AstraZeneca vaccine we approved first, the Moderna vaccine has now been approved. If you weren't aware, UK newspapers are really weird. So we've got Jabba Dabba Doo with Boris Johnson dressed as Fred Flintstone. And look, the reason why the UK papers are making such a big deal about this is because the government response to the COVID pandemic has been appalling, and the vaccine is our only route out of this. Now, novel foods is a really good example of where the UK has now diverged from the European regime. So novel food is one of the key issues to the CBD industry. CBD has been deemed a novel food by the European Commission. All novel foods must have full novel food authorization from the European Commission to be legally sold. So you have to have a fully submitted authorized application from the European Commission before you can sell CBD legally in the EU. Technically, therefore, all CBD products available in the EU are being sold unlawfully. However, there is currently little to no enforcement, so there doesn't seem to be a problem in practice. Many companies have submitted novel food applications to the EC, but again, this is a very technical, scientific laboratory submission, and it will probably take a while for the European Commission to actually approve these submissions. The UK has diverged from this, And as you can see, the Food Standards Agency has been very proud to say that they've set a timetable for novel food compliance here in the UK. So the procedure itself mirrors the EU procedure identically. So the safety submissions that are expected to be in a novel food application are the same. However, the UK government has issued an exemption. CBD products that are currently on sale can continue to be sold, provided novel food compliance is achieved by the 31st of March 2021. And novel food compliance does not need a fully authorized submission. You only need to have a validated novel food submission in place. So validation is one stage before full authorization, and it's basically an initial review of your submission. Make sure that you've got all of the information that you should have in there, get the validation stamp, and then it goes forward for the full authorization commission. So where can the UK take further advantage of its ability to diverge, of its newfound freedom? Well, look at Switzerland. Switzerland has a THC content limit of 1%. Surely that would be something the UK should be considering. Obviously, maybe I'm fantasizing a little bit and I'm being overly optimistic, but that's what I would love to see. I'd love to see a bit more support for this industry from the UK government, a bit more clarity. We all know about the 1 milligram rule and the different interpretations, and does it apply and doesn't it apply. Let's use this opportunity to give clarity to this industry, particularly in the current situation with the pandemic. Now's the opportunity for the UK to really make this jurisdiction the best place to do CBD business. Here's something else I would really like to see. I would love to see the UK authorities throw their full weight behind a hemp flower industry. So for those who don't know, hemp flower is a really popular product here in the UK. There's a lot of businesses selling it and making a lot of money, but it is a high risk activity, and the risk isn't just from regulatory intervention. It's a risk of police intervention. So there are businesses being prosecuted, people being arrested, products being seized left, right and centre, because the UK authorities, the police and the CPS, they don't distinguish between high THC and low THC flower. It's all cannabis to them, and therefore it's all controlled. So whilst lots of businesses are doing very well and sort of flying beneath the radar, it's a risky business. What I will say as an aside, and I'm not encouraging anything like this, but Brexit has had a really massive impact on the hemp flower industry here. Most of the hemp flower businesses will be sourcing their products from licensed producers in Switzerland and in Italy, and there is a big shortage coming down the line. Lots of hemp flower businesses have said that they are running low on supplies. Their supply chains have been broken. So if there were any entrepreneurs out there with a high risk profile who could get a regular and reliable supply of hemp flower into the UK, then it's likely you would have a huge amount of custom from these businesses looking to buy your hemp flower. So something to think about. Again, I'm not encouraging anyone to do this because, like I said, it's legally very, very high risk. So what can we expect to see? So border disruption should ease, okay? As operators get to grips with this new regime, things should get much easier. It's going to be front-loaded, the work and the expense in terms of getting new systems and getting new procedures in place, but it is worthwhile once you get to grips with it. What else? Lots more negotiations to come. This is definitely not the end. So here, look at that. This is the timetable for further negotiations between the UK and the EU between now and 2030. So there you can see agri-foods between Britain and Northern Ireland. You've got data adequacy. I mentioned that earlier. Statements on rules of origin coming up at the end of 2021. Then we get into all kinds of other stuff, and it's just going to go on and on and on forever until the end of time. There we are. That is what it is. However, given the economic hit that this country will take from Brexit, and don't be in any doubt, there will be an economic hit, added on top of the economic hit from COVID and the pandemic, the UK government is going to be in a position where they are going to be looking for job creation and tax revenue. And I am fully confident this is going to lead to further legalisation and regulation for the cannabis sector. And with this man in charge, surely we cannot fail. That's my hope for 2021. Big CBD business to be done in 2021. That's all I'm going to go through today. This is me, and these are the additional services I can provide. I'm very grateful to Alexi and the team for giving me the platform to come and speak to you all. I imagine there's loads and loads of questions, and I'm also happy to go through particular examples, Alexi. If you want to repeat the one that you gave to me, I'd be more than happy to see what I can do.